Good evening and welcome to the April 25th meeting of the Berea Board of Education. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Chapman?
Here.
Mrs. Ferris?
Here.
Mr. Mack?
Here.
Mr. Postal?
Here.
Mrs. Zerke?
Here. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can you go get them?
Yes.
We have a special award presentation tonight, so I would like to introduce Reno Contempelli he's a Northeast Regional Manager from OSBA.
And let me introduce our president from the Northeast region from Tusky Valley, all the way from Tuscarawas County, Sally Green. She'll say a few words.
Oh, I guess I can't move it there. Hi, welcome. Good evening. I'm so excited to be here with you guys. We're going to be awarding two of your members awards, and it's just a very special honor to be here with Reno to share that with you. Two things I would like to give to the board members is, one, I just want to plug BLI, Board Leadership Institute, which is May 6th and 7th. It's the one and only conference from the Ohio School Board Association that is just for board members, and it has an extending lineup. So if you're not registered, I would at least encourage at least one member to go. You'll find a lot of interesting topics there. The second thing is on June 18th, we are holding, and Reno will talk more about it, it is a ball game that we use for a fundraiser for our scholarships for seniors. So if you want tickets, Reno's the man to go to. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to him for the awards.
All right. Tickets are $5. We partnership with the Lake County Captains. So if you're not doing anything on a nice little Saturday night, fireworks and Avengers night. Every year at our spring conference, we like to honor those board members who go beyond the call of duty, as we say, and either have long years of service or win Award of Achievements or Master Board members, and we honor them. And for the last couple of years, we've been trying to come out here. But this year at our spring conference, Board Member Postal, congratulations on 10 years of dedicated service. We know it's sometimes it's tough being a board member, but we like to congratulate you for 10 years of service. The time that you put in, the time away from your family, all of the time you got to put in the prep for meetings, and it's our way of saying thank you. We get you a nice little wall certificate, so congratulations.
Crop that picture.
And then 2 years ago, Madam President, you worked very hard. We had the Ohio School Board Association has a program called Award of Achievement. It's for board members who do more than just be a local board members. They do a lot of service training, like continuing education that your teachers or your administrators do. They go to extra meetings throughout the year. They're involved in statewide activities and so on. And when you win the Award of Achievement a couple of times and you do a whole bunch of point systems, then you become what's called a Master Board Member. Now to tell you how difficult it is, there are about 3,500 board members in Ohio. Half of those board members probably don't get out of their first term for whatever reason. And then out of those 3,500, less than 60 will win the Award of Achievement, and then less than 5 will become Master Board members. And in 2020, you achieved all that. So congratulations on behalf of all of us at the Ohio School Board Association for all the hard work that you put in. And we got you a little pin, we get you a nice little plaque, and we get you a nice little wall certificate. So congratulations. Anna, can I get a picture too for Christina? Yeah, sure. Yeah. thank you again for having me. And let me just say, what a beautiful school. I watched the construction for the last couple of years, and it's a very beautiful school. You should be very proud of this whole complex. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, next we have public participation. Our first speaker is Nusrat Mehdi.
Good evening. I'm a parent of a fourth grader at Grindstone. Sometime after my son started school, he came to me and he told me that he wants to be white like the bottom of his feet. He could not articulate the reasoning, but he instinctively knew at age 5 that he was different. Unfortunately, he did not see his difference as just being who he is. He did not see himself reflected in his classroom, in the books he read, or the wider school culture. I believe BCSD has a long way to go in terms of culturally responsive teaching, but I bring this conversation up because with bills like HB 322, 327, and now 616, some Ohio legislators want to codify the feelings of alienation and doubt that my son felt into a law. These hateful and divisive bills devalue the experiences and histories of minority and LGBTQ+ students and faculty. I'm sorry, I'm nervous. These bills create an atmosphere of fear for educators and stops them from creating culturally responsive classrooms. These bills are nothing but an attack on democracy and democratic institutions in the guise of parental rights. These bills will undermine the free exchange of ideas and information, a cornerstone of any healthy democracy. I speak today to urge this board to pass a resolution condemning these bills and to speak up against these bills in your official capacity. As Dr. Martin Luther King said, in the end, we will not remember the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. Silence in the face of these hateful attacks will have devastating consequences for our students and the future of democracy in this country. Thank you.
Next, we have Dave Ceccarelli.
All right, guys. So I found out about something disturbing that I didn't know actually happened. It happened in 2018 on Good Morning America. They actually had an 11-year-old drag queen on that show. And I don't know about anybody else in this room, but I feel if a parent actually was okay with their child being a 11-year-old drag queen, I really have to look at their moral compass, and hopefully that nobody else here on this board or this room would agree with something like that. And I bring that up because ABC is owned by Disney. Disney has obviously been in the news a lot lately. And it really irks me that you guys adopted the "Don't Say Gay" label that is being put on the bill in Florida, which it doesn't say gay anywhere in that bill, doesn't say gay anywhere in our bill. Nobody's against gay people, nobody's against transsexuals, no one's against homosexuals. It's just, you can't be teaching kids kindergarten into third grade about things like that. It's got to be age appropriate. And the bill 616, it states right here, to amend sections 3313.21, 3314.03, and 3326.11, and to enact section 3313.6029 of the revised code regarding the promotion and teaching of device or inherently racist concept in our public schools. including critical race theory, intersectional theory, the 619 Project, diversity, equity, inclusion, and learning and outcomes. You guys held that event at Grindstone for the Don't Say Gay. I mean, you could say it was by the PTA and you guys were involved in it, but people on the board here were there. It was at a school provided facility, and we had some people in there, and they were told that they were filling out multiple postcards for one person, and that's almost sounds like ballot harvesting or something like that to me. It doesn't sound legit. But my main point is, none of the bill says don't say gay. Doesn't say gay here, doesn't say gay there, doesn't say gay anywhere. So for you guys to label that, I feel like that's wrong. Thanks.
Next is James Grosh.
Thank you. I support House Bill 616 as well. It doesn't discriminate. It's not, I don't say gay bill, which the mainstream media has labeled it. It's a parents' rights bill. And anybody who would be against this, that would support sexualization of children between K through 3, that's pretty sad. Anybody that would support a law that prevents that, and that's all it does primarily. And other than that, it goes up age appropriate from there. So my opinion, if you're against the bill that simply does not want kids sexualized with very contentious criteria or teachings, then I think you ought to reevaluate your own morals, standards, because it's just disgusting, and it's an assault on the public school system by the left. Let's just call it what it is. It's an assault on kids perpetrated by the left, liberals in this country. I'm going to read as much of this as I can. I've told you before, it's an article. I've told you before of New York City's Justine Fonte, who proudly defends teaching first graders in Manhattan how to masturbate, while at the same time teaching porn literacy to juniors at New York's Columbia Grammar and Prep. And then there is the National Education Association. I have told you following, in which they state, the NEA, we resolved a study to critique cis heteropatriarchy. In other words, the NEA is telling you straight up that they will be teaching your children that two-parent families, traditional morality, and heterosexual fidelity should be dismantled and replaced by their neo-Marxist sexual nihilism. The bottom line is our public schools are grooming our children. This is just a fact. They admit it. They are doing it openly and without apology, and they are starting before your children can even recite the ABCs. This is not a QAnon conspiracy, nor is it the moral panic of homophobic conservatives who are just freaking out. This garbage is real. It is simply and clearly a fact. But there's more. Not only are your local schools abusing your sons and daughters' hearts, minds, and souls, but they are also abusing their bodies. America's public schools have become hunting grounds for sexual predators. This past week, Chris Rufo reported the following: the most comprehensive analysis concerning sexual abuse in America's public schools, published by the U.S. Department of Education, estimates that nearly 10% of K-12 students have been victims of sexual misconduct by a public school employee. In case you missed it, Mr. Rufo just shined a light on the ugly fact that our own government is admitting our public schools are sexually abusing 10% of our children. That's more than 4.5 million kids nationwide. Thank you.
Okay, next we have the superintendent's update.
Okay. I just have a couple things. One, I want to give just a little bit of a promotion to our district art show, our district-wide art show that is this Friday from 4:30 to 8, and on Saturday from 10 to 5 here at the high school auditorium. I will say, since I've been here, I don't think I've been able to see it. Mr. Conti's back there shaking his head no. So I know I'm really excited about it to see what our kids do. We have probably one of the best art programs around. So if you have an opportunity to get out and to see what our students are doing, please mark your calendars and do so. So the only, I'm sorry. So it's
Where's that
here
going to be at in the high school?
in the auditorium.
Auditorium. Okay,
Yep.
thanks.
Okay, so again, Friday from 4:30 to 8 and Saturday from 10 to 5. So the only other thing I want to do tonight, I wanted to share this. This was sent to me over spring break from Mayor Orcutt's office in Brook Park, and I thought it was important to share, again, during this critical time in public school, as far as what's going on with public schools right now. So there was a resolution in support of our residents enrolling their students in the Berea City Schools and declaring an emergency. Whereas education is the most important asset in maximizing the opportunities of an individual and community, and whereas state funding of our schools is based largely on enrollment, whereas 90% of American children attend public schools, and whereas public funding of education should be used for public schools that are publicly governed and accountable to parents, educators, and communities, and whereas we wholeheartedly support the 800 employees of the Berea City School District, 108 of them which reside in Brook Park, whereas good public schools are the cornerstone of any strong community, helping to maintain higher standards, better opportunities, elevated home values, and genuine pride in our community. Now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the City of Brook Park, State of Ohio, that the council is in support of our residents continuing to enroll their students in the Berea City School District. The clerk of council is hereby directed to forward a copy of this to me. It is found and determined that all formal actions of the council concerning and relating to the resolution were adopted in an open meeting of the council, and that all deliberation of this council, blah, 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 according to Ohio Revised Code. And then this resolution is hereby declared to be an emergency measure immediately necessary for the preservation of the public peace, health, safety, and welfare of said city, and for the further reason to support our residents enrolling their students in the Berea City School District. Therefore, provided that this resolution receives the affirmative vote of at least 5 members on council, of which they did, they received that vote. And I forward this to the board members, and I did respond to Mayor Orcutt's office and did thank him, thank City Council. Again, I think with everything that's going on right now and some of the attacks on public schools, we need to hear this more than ever, because it really is, I think what they said in there, that our public schools are the cornerstones of our communities, and I just appreciated them taking the time to do that.
Okay, our consent agenda, it's recommended that items D3 to D16 be approved as part of the consent agenda unless a Board of Education member wishes to have an item removed.
So moved. Second.
So a couple things. I got to the bus garage today. We have 2 of our bus drivers who've been here since 1999, so 25 years, are retiring. So Alice Sedovic and Sandy, I say Orgachek. I hope that's the way you say it, but anyhow, met with them both today. And again, we're going to miss them greatly at the bus garage. And then Anne Marie Weisbarth is an instructional assistant at BPE. And again, she's been in the district since 1999. So I have one more introduction I want to do, but I want to wait till the board takes a vote, and then I will follow up with that.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Ferris?
Yes.
Mrs. Zerke?
Yes.
Mrs. Chapman?
Yes.
Mr. Mack?
Yes.
Mr. Postal?
Yes.
All right, so with that, now I can officially introduce to you, I'm really excited about this. One of the new hires that, so we knew Mr. Barth was retiring. And so we started on that journey very early to try to secure our next band director. And so we have done that, and he is here tonight. So I want to take a minute to introduce Brett Benson. Brett, would you like, he comes to us from Keystone, and I said prior to the board meeting, I have a very good friend who works in Keystone who is not happy with the fact that we we stole Brett, I guess, to come to be here to be a part of our highly recognized music program. So Brett, do you want to say anything?
I
If you got to stand up there, then you need the mic. He's not shy.
No, I wanted to, first and foremost, thank you again, Mrs. Wheeler. The first thing I wanted to do is to both Mrs. Wheeler and the board acknowledge you and thanking you and recognizing you for being a designee of the 2022 Best Communities for Music Education. As a music educator, joining the district, that means the world to us, and your support of the arts means the world, which meant this was such an enticing position for me, and I'm so excited to join the team. I know that I have big shoes to fill with Mr. Barth's retirement, but I look forward to continuing on in that excellence in working with Mr. Fadali and continuing to do what has been so well and so supported here in the community. And I look forward to first off seeing you on Friday evenings and then throughout the year. And as band directors, we're always here, so I'm very excited. So thank you again for your support of music education, and I look forward to working with you all over the years to come. Thank you.
Thank you and welcome.
We had to keep it hush hush because he is at Keystone, and his kids did go to competition on Monday night or on Friday night, of which they scored ones, right? Yes. Superior ratings.
Well, like you were going to say anything else.
And I'd like to thank you for the tie selection that you
Yes.
made this evening.
noticed.
So you're well on your way.
Jeff, did you want to add anything?
We looked at 15 different applicants. We narrowed it down to 8 interviews, and then we narrowed it down to 3. We had those 3 people come in and direct our ensembles. And Brett came highly regarded as recommended as the whole process started way back when being announced. And very excited. And actually, Brett is going to be my replacement when I leave in 3 years. So we've kind of hired my replacement. So I'll teach him the ways, and we'll change his name to Fadali.
Great. Thank you and welcome, Brett. Thank you. Okay.
Now you can go if you want. You don't have to stay. Like I was like, yes.
We have another consent agenda. It's recommended that items D18 to D23 be approved as part of the consent agenda unless a Board of Education member wishes to have an item removed.
So moved.
Second.
So this was something we have talked about doing as far as different consent agendas, and this is really just renewals of current contracts. None of those contracts that are as part of that consent agenda are anything new, just renewals.
Okay, roll call, please.
Mrs. Zerke?
Yes.
Mr. Postal?
Yes.
Mrs. Chapman?
Yes.
Mrs. Ferris?
Yes.
Mr. Mack?
Yes.
Number 24, it's recommended the Board of Education approve the agreement between Insight Behavioral Consulting and the Berea City School District to provide BCBA consultation for developing social skills classes during the 2021-22 school year as shown in the exhibit.
So moved. Second.
So just so you know, again, it seems strange that we're putting something on the agenda that's a 21-22 school year, but again, this was a settlement that was made with a family, and so that settlement has just finalized. We couldn't put the contract on until it was finalized.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Zerke?
Yes.
Mrs. Ferris?
Yes.
Mrs. Chapman?
Yes.
Mr. Mack?
Yes.
Mr. Postal?
Yes.
Number 25, it's recommended the Board of Education approve the quote from SSECO Solutions, a division of Service Station Equipment Company, for the upgrade to the hybrid chip key reader used for the fuel pumps at transportation, as shown in the exhibit.
So moved.
Second.
So the board members who were here will remember when we did the transportation audit and presented that last spring, one of the things that was concerning in the audit was that we did not have a fuel reader for our fuel pumps. And part of it was, I don't know, Vicki and Chris, without going into it, because I think Chris would probably pull his hair out if he had talked about it too much, but there were issues that kept us from doing that, but we are all resolved, and that will be taken care of with this purchase.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Ferris?
Yes.
Mr. Mack?
Yes.
Mrs. Chapman?
Yes.
Mr. Postal?
Yes.
Mrs. Zerke?
Yes.
Number 26, it's recommended the Board of Education approve the quote from Navigate 360 for threat assessment training as shown on the below exhibits.
So moved.
Second.
So this was with Ms. Sampson, and we had lots of discussion. So basically, we already have Navigate 360, but this is an extended part of what we already do that will actually help us with threat assessments, suicide screenings, and a place to house all that information. And they are actually going to do that training for us in June. So this just adds on to a contract that we already have.
Is that training for everyone or just counselors or?
It will be counselors, administrators, we're including our SROs, our student family support specialists, anybody, and our psychs. Yeah. Team. Mhm. So what Mike's saying is every building has to have a threat assessment team. We actually were the district had done a good job of putting teams together. So this is really, again, some of those people are here, some of those people aren't here. And then with those threat assessment teams, and this is an added piece to it. So we're just doing the training of those people again, and then adding this piece to that. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we'll include you in that.
Okay, roll call, please.
Mrs. Zerke?
Yes.
Mr. Mack?
Yes.
Mrs. Chapman?
Yes.
Mrs. Ferris?
Yes.
Mr. Postal?
Yes.
Number 27, it's recommended the Board of Education approve the following district-sponsored overnight field trip for the high school varsity girls basketball team to Phoenix, Arizona for the Christmas basketball tournament, December 26, 2022 through December 31st, 2022.
So moved. Second.
So Coach Broughton's chomping at the bit to get this going. So he's really excited about the opportunity to take the girls out to, he actually has sent us the agenda and the kind of the lineup of what they do, and it's going to be an incredible experience for our kids.
I read they'll get a chance to visit the Grand Canyon in addition to playing in the tournament.
Yes, and they get a ticket, they get to go to the Arizona State women's basketball game, so it's going to be a packed 5 days, and just like I said, it's an awesome opportunity. They're going to need some administrative chaperoning.
Okay, roll call, please.
Mrs. Zerke?
Yes.
Mrs. Ferris?
Yes.
Mrs. Chapman?
Yes.
Mr. Mack?
Yes.
Mr. Postal?
Yes.
Number 28, it's recommended the Board of Education approve the summer school course offerings for June 2022 as shown in the exhibits.
So moved.
Second.
This is just to give the board all the information that we will, once approved tonight, we'll be putting out for our high school kids to, and so we know we're ready to go for summer school.
Mrs. Ferris?
Yes.
Mr. Postal?
Yes.
Mrs. Chapman?
Yes.
Mr. Mack?
Yes.
Mrs. Zerke?
Yes.
Number 29, it's recommended the Board of Education approve the quote from Royal Business Equipment for 130 desktop computers and monitors to be used at Berea Mid-Park Middle School as shown in the exhibit.
So moved.
Second.
I think we had presented on this earlier, and I think we'd gotten the okay to move forward with it, and then this is just the actual quote so that that Dr. Turner and her team can go ahead and start the purchase.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Postal?
Yes.
Mrs. Zerke?
Yes.
Mrs. Chapman?
Yes.
Mrs. Ferris?
Yes.
Mr. Mack?
Yes.
Number 30, it's recommended the Board of Education approve the equipment quotation from Vehicle Service Group for the purchase of a portable column lift with remote control operation as shown in the exhibit.
So moved.
Second.
I just need, I think this is a new lift, right? Is this the new one to replace, they had one that wasn't, right, so this is a new lift for transportation.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Postal?
Yes.
Mrs. Ferris?
Yes.
Mrs. Chapman?
Yes.
Mr. Mack?
Yes.
Mrs. Zerke?
Yes.
Okay, treasurer's update.
I just wanted to update the board tonight on a couple things that have been going on in the district. I think it was April 1st, we instituted a new time clock system for our classified staff. With any new system, it's all these trials and tribulations to get through it. We made it through last week on the first payroll load, so it was a long week last week for the payroll office. But our old time clock system was slowly dying, slowly going away. Couldn't get parts for it anymore, so we started the new time clock system on April 1st. That was something new for the district. to get through that.
Consent agenda, it's recommended that items E3 to E7 be approved as part of the consent agenda unless a Board of Education member wishes to have an item removed.
So moved.
Second.
Gotta be fast.
On the agenda tonight are all routine items. There's nothing, there's a lot of gifts and donations. If you notice, the high school was doing fundraisers for Ukraine, having volleyball tournaments, So there's a lot of donations on the agenda tonight for that purpose. And again, it's just all routine on the agenda.
Roll call, please.
Mrs. Ferris?
Yes.
Mrs. Zerke?
Yes.
Mrs. Chapman?
Yes.
Mr. Mack?
Yes.
Mr. Postal?
Yes.
Number 8, it's recommended the Board of Education approve the attached resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county fiscal officer for the 2022-23 school year.
So moved.
Second.
This is our annual resolution for the, our millage and the amounts that the county is going to levy for, or our levies, basically. We have to pass this every year. We are a month late this year because the county was late in getting us the documentation. However, we did get a waiver from the Department of Tax for another month extension. That is why it's on April instead of March as usual each year. But it's our annual resolution to levy our taxes.
Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Postal?
Yes.
Mr. Mack?
Yes.
Mrs. Chapman?
Yes.
Mrs. Ferris?
Yes.
Mrs. Zerke?
Yes.
It's recommended the Board of Education approve the minutes of the March 21st regular meeting and April 4th work session as shown in the exhibits.
So moved. Second.
Are there any additions or corrections? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Zerke?
Yes.
Mrs. Ferris?
Yes.
Mrs. Chapman?
Yes.
Mr. Mack?
Yes.
Mr. Postal?
Yes.
Okay, number 2, legislative update. The legislature is currently on recess, but there are the 3 bills that are still active, 4 actually, 290, 322, 327, and 616 that they'll be addressing when they come back. Board of Education comments. Our new band director mentioned that BCSD was recognized as one of the best communities for music education in the country. We are one of 738 school districts in the entire country, and this is a yearly recognition. And actually, Berea is one of the only schools that I know of, districts, that has been recognized every year of the survey, and I believe the first year was 1994. I tried to look it up, but I couldn't find it, but I'm going by my memory. Great anymore, but it goes way back into the early 90s. So congratulations to all of our music teachers and our music students. And I also, another music thing, bravo to Mary Poppins, the cast of Mary Poppins. I went twice, so I could see both casts, and it was a lot of fun. These kids just put their all in. Thank you to the teachers and the students involved in that.
I have 2 things. At the Polaris Business Advisory Council, they had a student panel at the last meeting. Had 6 students from the different coursework at Polaris who talked about their programs and their internship experiences and the value of those internships. The committee report. And then following week, Polaris had their outstanding senior recognition dinner for the class of 2022. Kind of like a commencement, but it's not because they don't actually graduate students, but they were just honoring the different students. And Berea Mid-Park had quite a few students, both on the, they call it satellite program. Those are the programs that are taught at the various high schools here, Strongsville, Olmsted, et cetera. Then they had outstanding students from Polaris, and there are about 7 or 8 students from Berea Mid-Park in the different programs. And then at the end, they have outstanding students for an outstanding employee, outstanding Polaris student, then an outstanding Polaris satellite student. And Ian Taylor from our engineering program here at Berea Mid-Park High School was the recipient of that. So I thought that was very nice to hear and see. That's it. Thanks.
Ian is one of the Eagle Scouts that we recognized.
A couple of weekends ago, Anna, Heather, and I were volunteer bingo callers at the middle school PTA bingo extravaganza. It was a good time, a pretty decent crowd, so it was good to see. It seems like the activities, the programs that are in the buildings now, they're coming back to life, and it's good to see. It's good to see the bodies in the buildings and to see the faces without the masks. So that's it.
Yeah, this morning I too was over at transportation for the little soiree that they had. Sandy and Alice, as coaching for 20 years, you spent a lot of time on buses going to many different parts of Ohio, and just was nice to see them, and just wonderful people. The entire transportation department, has done a wonderful job in getting our athletes and our students and activities all over the place. And we've gone some crazy places, it seems like. Also, I wanted to thank Mr. Conti. We have the Titan Relays this upcoming Friday, and every year Mr. Conti helps to design the I give him ideas, he designs a beautiful looking transfer, and then we print and sell the t-shirts and stuff. And so this Friday, if you're not doing anything from 1 o'clock until about 9 at night, the Titan Relays will be at Finney Stadium. They're back at Finney after a year at Brunswick. And so you'll see some of the best track and field action with our athletes and athletes from around, including Marlington.
Okay, now it's recommended the board enter into executive session we have two different ones. One for the purpose of preparing for, conducting, or reviewing negotiations or bargaining sessions with employees, and also for the purpose of the appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, or compensation of an employee or official.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Postal?
Yes.
Mrs. Ferris?
Yes.
Mrs. Chapman?
Yes.
Mr. Mack?
Yes.
Mrs. Zerke?
Yes.
Thank you for coming.
you.
Thank you for watching.